Alright, here it is, guys. The one album every other music YouTuber has already reviewed. I'm late, I know. Please forgive me. Hello, I'm Chris Parker and welcome back to another album review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Led Zeppelin's fourth studio album from 1971. This album is technically untitled, although I think most people call it Led Zeppelin IV, since their previous albums follow that naming convention. I've also seen some people refer to it by the runes on the label that are supposed to represent each member of the band. I don't personally do that because I have no clue how I'm going to pronounce that. Now, I've already reviewed Led Zeppelin's previous albums, so if you haven't seen those videos, I would greatly recommend watching them after this one. Now, there isn't a whole lot I can say about this album here at the beginning of the video. And honestly, it's a big one, so I'm just going to save my thoughts for at the end during the final review. Now, once more, though, before we begin, I want to ask you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel, as these things do help me out a great deal. Black Dog is a great track to open up the album. The start and stop of the vocals and instruments give it a distinctive feel right off the bat. This song manages to sound both very bluesy, but also very approachable and modern in many ways. The lyrics are like almost any other blues song, but are a good entry in the style. Robert Plant is in peak form here, whether delivering desperate verses or doing his trademark vocalizations throughout the song. I don't think I've ever heard anyone accuse him of scatting, but that's probably the best word to describe what he does, let's face it. Rock and Roll is probably the simplest song of this album, at least lyrically. It feels ready-made for rock radio, which, mind you, isn't a bad thing at all. The vocals here are less notable than on Black Dog, but I'd say the playing from the rest of the band is more notable. John Bonham provides this song with an instant hook, and Jimmy Page's 50s rock and roll style guitar playing ensures that the backing is perfectly married to the lyrics. The Battle of Evermore is the first of the more folk-oriented songs on the album. The song is some sort of fantasy narrative, and is rather high concept in a way. The dominant sound on this song is the mandolin, and it adds a kind of medieval atmosphere to the song that works well. The best thing about this song, however, is the vocal interplay between Robert Plant and guest vocalist Sandy Denny. I'm mostly unfamiliar with Denny's work outside this song, but here she does great. Her voice matches Robert Plant's really well, it's also the right kind of voice for this kind of fantasy song. I think of all the songs on side 1 of this album, Battle of Evermore often gets a bit overlooked. It's far from obscure, and yeah, it's widely hailed as a great track, but it doesn't get as much talk as Black Dog or Rock and Roll. All three are great, of course, but Battle of Evermore is just as good as they are. Heck, honestly, I like it more than Rock and Roll these days, probably. What is there to say about Stairway to Heaven that hasn't already been said? If you're watching a music reviewer like myself on YouTube, I'd assume you're probably well and familiar with the song. But, of course, that would be taking the lazy way out in this video. Maybe you haven't heard Stairway to Heaven before. Maybe you only listen to Pink Floyd. Maybe you mostly listen to modern music. Or maybe you're just really good at tuning out music they play in stores. I don't know what this song is about. I don't think anyone really does, despite many claims to the contrary. And it simply does not matter. The lyrics sound vaguely inspirational. Robert Plant's vocal here makes you believe it means something. Pin whatever meaning or feeling to it you wish, and it works! The band does a full tour de force here. Page, Bonham, and John Paul Jones all do some of their finest work on this song. The song starts out slow, and ratchets its way up in intensity throughout the song, and each time, each member of the band changes their playing a little bit to match. Page gives us both great acoustic and electric guitar parts, including a solo that ranks among the all-time greatest. Bonham's drum fills really help make each change throughout the song feel seamless, and John Paul Jones's bass playing is great throughout. I'm not sure what the most important part of Stairway to Heaven's success really is, but I do care to hazard a few guesses. The members of Led Zeppelin almost always give top-notch performances, at least on their studio tracks, so it can't be that it's simply a better-played song. I think a part of the song's success has something to do with the length and progression of the song. The song feels like a journey from the softer beginning to the epic finale. There are a lot of casual music listeners that long songs don't ever really get to, but they love this song whenever it comes on radio. There's something about the top-notch production on Stairway to Heaven which turns its length from something that could have limited its audience to something that ensured it. I also think a large part of it has to do with the lyrics. They sort of walk themselves into your brain and let your imagination run away with them. As I said earlier, everyone thinks they know what this song means when listening to it, whether they really do or not. I'm not even sure they mean anything, as I said earlier. This, though, makes the song's lyrics very memorable. It also creates a sort of bond between the listener and the music. Everyone is always trying to interpret Stairway to Heaven, and like all the best songs, each time they do, they put a little bit of themselves into it, and as such, they begin to feel sort of invested in it. It is quite remarkable, really. It's perhaps the best example of this in all of popular music, even though all songs do it, or at least all hit songs do it to a degree. Misty Mountain Hop has a great groove throughout. It's got a sort of boogie flavor throughout, despite the heaviness of the playing. It's probably the most danceable Led Zeppelin song, give or take Hot Dog. You could probably square dance to Hot Dog. But I digress, I'm not here to discuss Hot Dog. I'll save that for a later video. I'm here to talk about Misty Mountain Hop. This is some sort of high, optimistic hippie song. Lyrics are a nice bit of psychedelic fluff, and Plant really makes them work wonderfully. The playing is great, and as I said earlier, it has a great energy throughout. Four Sticks has a kind of tribal sound to it. It's got a very repetitive riff that has an almost mesmerizing quality to it. When listening to this song, I can almost imagine boomers dancing in formation around the bonfire. Ah, what a beautiful sight. I like the instrumentation of the song, but I think the synth stuff in the back half was a bad choice. It doesn't really match the song at all, and it doesn't belong here, despite my love of 70s sounding synth. And honestly, I do find this song kind of forgettable. There isn't really anything in the lyrics that stands out, and the instrumentation, while expertly performed, feels like it's trying too hard and too technical. A large part of it is Four Sticks is sitting next to a top-tier selection of songs throughout the rest of the album, but really, Four Sticks is really just good and not great. It's not the worst song in their catalog by far, but every Led Zeppelin album has at least several tracks better than this one. Going to California is a more pure folk number, sort of in the vein of the songs from Led Zeppelin IV's second half. It's a great song with a lot of lovesick yearning in it. Despite all the lonely and lovesick stuff, it manages to be quite sweet about it, and never crosses the line into being creepy or incel-y. This song also has a really good vocal performance from Robert Plant, and is a great example of how he can handle songs that don't have any room for screaming or yelping. Alright guys, you know me, I'm going to be honest with you no matter what. I sometimes forget when the Levee Breaks has lyrics. Much less, I often forget the fact that it's even a cover song. Now, that's not to say Robert Plant's doing a bad job here. He's great as usual. He is, however, somewhat overshadowed, I feel, by the rest of the band. When I think of this song, the first and foremost thing I think of is the guitar parts. After that is a great drum beat, and then the bass line. This is easily the heaviest song of the album, and one of the heaviest in Led Zeppelin's whole catalog. The only time Zeppelin would ever get closer to heavy metal than this is on Presence, and that's a whole nother story. When the Levee Breaks also works very well as a way to end the album, if for no other reason, but it would be damn near impossible to put anything after it on a track listing. Alright guys, that's it for the song-by-song breakdown. So now, before we go on to my final thoughts on the album, let's look at my final scores for the songs. I'm going to give Black Dog a 10 out of 10. Rock and Roll a 9 out of 10. The Battle of Evermore 10 out of 10. Stairway to Heaven a 10 out of 10. Misty Mountain Hop a 10 out of 10. Four Sticks, 7 out of 10. Going to California, 9 out of 10. And When the Levee Breaks, 8 out of 10. Led Zeppelin has put out some really strong albums, and this is probably the strongest of the bunch. Almost all the songs are top-notch, and they all feel like they belong together. Despite the cohesion, we still see a good variety in sounds here, from folk and blues to psychedelia, 50s rock, and almost heavy metal. Of particular note, the incorporation of folk here is a lot more seamless than it was on Led Zeppelin III. The band's playing is top-notch, much as it has been on the previous albums. They effortlessly switch styles to match each song while still maintaining a consistent feel throughout. Really, there isn't much more I can say here. This album is a 10 out of 10, and is one of the best albums of all time. I personally think this is my favorite Led Zeppelin album. Yes, guys, I know I'm a very bland individual, especially when it comes to my Led Zeppelin takes. But hey, I'll make up for it one of these days in another video. Alright, and before we go, I do, as always, want to look at the album packaging, because that's always fun. Alright, well, here it is. It's very iconic. I don't know really what to say about it. It gives kind of a vibe. I don't really know. You got this kind of, like, wall with, like, peeling plaster. You got, like, a picture of a guy, like a Yale picture. And it is a wraparound gatefold sleeve. You do have kind of the wall kind of breaks off. And then you have just kind of a sort of urban, European, British kind of look there. I don't live in Britain, despite people saying they think I'm British, so I can't really comment. And we do also have some interesting stuff on the inside with this one. We do have a sheet here that has the track listing on one side. The other side has the lyrics, although they're only the lyrics to Stairway to Heaven. I don't know why they didn't include the rest of the songs. It feels like even just kind of from the get-go, they were reinforcing this whole Stairway to Heaven's the best, and like the only notable great Led Zeppelin song, and you shouldn't pay any attention to other ones. I don't know what's up with that. I could have used lyrics to other ones here. Come on, guys, give us the lyrics to Battle of Evermore, please. And then here are all of the wounds I mentioned earlier. They represent each member of the band on the label of the record, and it was, of course, on that lovely Atlantic label, the green and red, much like all of Led Zeppelin's albums. Alright, well, that just about wraps it up on another video. Now, before we go, I do want to, again, encourage you to like and subscribe. That does help me out a great deal. And if you like this style of album review, then please go check out my Patreon. I am taking requests, so if you want to see me review your favorite album, or just want to support me in some way, then you should check it out. I'll have a link in the video description below. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.